All right, good evening. My name is Ryan Heathcott. I am the Director of Enrollment and Marketing here at Memorial High School, and I want to welcome everybody tonight to our first Zoom session, first Zoom meeting, and a series of meetings with for all these new students and new families, some new faces, some familiar faces, and we're just happy to get this process started from looking back to eighth grade visits to open houses to now we're at this course registration time. So again, thank you for taking the time tonight to join us. We got a lot to cover and go over. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a prayer as we do with everything. So if you want to join me, in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. This prayer is a prayer for Memorial, and it was written by Father Alex and a while back, and it's something we do on a normal basis and usual every morning here at Memorial. It's really become a part of who we are. So it goes like this: God our Father, creator and ruler of the universe, in every age you call men and women to develop and use their gifts for the good of others. With Saint Joseph as our example and patron, help us to do the work you have asked and come to the rewards you have promised. We ask this through our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Again, we got a lot to cover tonight. I know everyone's time is very valuable, so I want to keep things moving and get things going. We have a lot of great things that we're going to talk about tonight. As you can see, some of the topics are going to include everything from Indiana diploma designations to 4-year plans, what some of those course offerings are for your student as they come in as a freshman, and then how that registration process is going to work for this next year, and how we're going to do that in the weeks and days to come, actually. So we'll talk more about that. So again, we got a lot of topics, a lot of things we want to cover here. Um, Everyone's busy schedule these days. We went to this Zoom format, a little bit ago because we get it. We understand I got a few phone calls and people calling today saying, hey, we're a little bit everywhere tonight. We got basketball, we got cheer, we got whatever. We want to make sure these are available to you all. So first things first is, yeah, tonight is an interactive meeting. So you can ask questions, use that chat log to ask those questions. We'd be able to, and we're going to do it right away. If you ask a question, we want to stop the presenter and say, hang tight, we do have a question more about that. Can you explain this more? So definitely use that chat log to ask some questions. We'll answer it right then and there. That way we don't wait till the end and have a bunch of questions. But please ask questions. We want to utilize that and answer those as we go. And most importantly, all this is going to be recorded. All this is recorded and sent out tomorrow morning. So if you miss something, not a big deal. You're going to have the recording of that to where you can go back, listen to this again, and check it all out and everything to have this at your availability. So we want to record this. We'll send this out to you. If you miss something, not a big deal. It's going to be on log. So we got a lot of great people on the call with us tonight. I do want to introduce Mr. Aaron Schmidt. He is our principal here at Memorial. He really just wanted to say hello and maybe just go over some important people that's going to be part of this process and get things moving. So, Mr. Schmidt, if you're out there, it's all yours, sir.
All right. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate the introduction. So, as Brian said, my name is Aaron Schmidt. I'm the principal of school. This is the second year before being principal at the school. I taught at Memorial for the past 13 years. I myself am an alumni of Memorial High School. I graduated in 2004 with Mr. Heathcott's older brother. And so, to me, Memorial is very much home. It's a place that is very near and dear to my heart, and it's a place that I very much love and care a lot about, as do most of our teachers or all of our teachers and faculty. So on the screen there in front of you, you've got kind of the other assistant principals and the other people in the school who I work with kind of on a close daily basis. So we'll start with Darlene Quinlan. She is the assistant principal of curriculum instruction, and I believe she's on the call as well. I think I saw her earlier. So she's going to handle kind of the academic affairs and work with the counseling department and work with kind of getting kids on schedules and classes and kind of in all their academic needs if they have specific questions that'll revolve around that. And then also you have John Hurley, who's also an alumni of Memorial High School and our football coach. He handles a lot of the discipline, the Dean of Student Services, attendance, and things like that. So if you have any kinds of questions or any issues that you run into at Memorial or things that come up from time to time, he'll be the one that you'll end up working with on a close basis with that. So in our counseling department, we have Dorinda Cullum and we have Jamie Hill. Those are going to be the two counselors that are going to work with students on a fairly regular basis that talk to them about classes and registration and kind of laying out the plan for while they're at Memorial. And if they have any kind of concerns and aren't able to see Ms. Quinlan or somebody in the administrative team, we kind of like them to start there first and kind of take their concerns there first if they can. And then, if we need to work our way through things, we can kind of continue up the chain if we need to. And then also in the counseling department, we have Patty Hagan, and Patty Hagan's going to work a lot with them on kind of more towards their senior year. She's going to work a lot with colleges that they're looking at, applications, scholarships, that kind of stuff. And then also working with them just kind of on their career choice path as well. So on the additional support side of things, you have Mr. Heathcott. I'm sorry, I apologize for this. So we have our Youth First counselors. I forgot about this. So this is new, a new individual up in the top right. You have Taylor Underwood. So she just joined us with Youth First just this week. And she's going to replace Ms. Dina Bodine at our school. Dina's going to be there for a little bit longer, but she's moved into a new position with Youth First and taking a promotion and is kind of overseeing all the schools in the area and kind of helping develop their program. So below her, you have Mrs. Erin Wedding, and she, I believe, is also on the call. I think I saw her earlier as well. So she's going to deal with our resource department, students that need specialized instruction or just kind of signed up for the resource program that will need a little bit of additional help. So, and then you've got, as Mr. Heathcott said, you've got himself, who's the director of enrollment and marketing, and he'll be the one that'll kind of assist you through these next few months as you get acclimated to all things Memorial High School. The additional support that we have beyond them, sorry, Brian, I don't know if you need me to say anything else about them. Okay. And then I think we had additional support, if I'm not mistaken, or sorry, Brian, different slide. Got it. So
you got it. You're good. That's and again, as Mr. Schmidt, I'm sure would agree with me. I mean, this is just the beginning of the people that are going to be helping out with all this process and everything. These are your key people, but there's going to be a lot more people down the road on the business side of things, on the academic side of things, but we don't want to overwhelm everybody with too much information here and too many people. So, Mr. Schmidt, yeah, if you want to stay on the call with us, I'm going to actually hand it over to Ms. Cullum. She's going to start our process of talking a little bit about academics and the Indiana graduation pathways. So, Ms. Cullum, if you're on there, it's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. A few years ago, the state of Indiana decided that they wanted to add a few more requirements for students to graduate high school. So they came up with what you're looking at, which is an insert in the folder that your students receive. And it's entitled the Indiana Graduation Pathways. And there are 3 buckets, that's what the state calls it, 3 buckets for the Indiana Graduation Pathways. The first bucket is the student earning a diploma of any kind. There are 4 in the state of Indiana, the general, the core 40, the academic, and the technical honors. Any of those 4 diplomas meet that requirement. The middle bucket, the employability skills, there are 3 different ways to complete that piece. It can be project-based learning, service-based learning, and work-based learning. Project-based learning is working on a long-term project about an engaging and complex question. Service-based learning is, serving the community at large as well as the school. Work-based learning is having a job. All of our students complete this category through the service-based learning, since we already require them to have service hours in order to graduate. The only additional piece that they have to do to meet this requirement is their senior year. They will write a 1-page reflection of the experiences they had performing the service hours while at Memorial and how it affected them. And then bucket 3, the post-secondary ready competency, is to ensure that students are prepared to move on to college if that is the route that they are choosing to go. And every bullet point is a way for those students to meet this requirement. So there are a number of ways for them to complete this. They can achieve an academic or technical honors diploma. They can meet the cut scores for the SAT test that our juniors will take in March, or the ACT test, which they also take in March. If your student is interested in going into the military, they can take the ASVAB exam. They can earn an industry recognized certification, an apprenticeship, or a CTE concentrator, all through SIC Tech, which is the Southern Indiana Career and Technical Center. Or toward the bottom, they can take AP, which is advanced placement classes, or dual credit classes also, which means they would be earning high school credit and college credit at the same time. We don't have any locally created pathways at this time, so that is currently not an option for our students, but might become an option in the future. Let's see. As I stated a while ago, the state of Indiana has 4 diploma tracks. The regular level is the middle one, the Indiana Diploma with Core 40 designation. This diploma track ensures that your student is prepared to go on to a 4-year college. Now, if they earn the one below that, the Indiana General Diploma, they can still go on to college. They will just most likely need to start at a 2-year college, such as Ivy Tech or Vincennes University. And depending on what they're wanting to go into, they might be able to complete their college degree there, or they can transfer to a 4-year college after they complete 2 years at Ivy Tech or Vincennes. The top 2 diplomas, the Indiana Diploma with academic or technical honors designation, are the top 2 in the state of Indiana. And Mrs. Hill is going to talk more about those in just a moment. You can go on to the next slide, Brian. This form is also in your folder, and it is just a breakdown of what your student needs to earn to achieve each diploma track. On the left column, that is what they have to take in order to get a Core 40 diploma, which is the regular level. The top right are the additional credits that they have to earn in addition to the Core 40 requirements to get the academic honors. And then the lower right is what they would need to achieve to do the technical honors. One thing that is not on here, that because the state hasn't had a chance to update their form, is well, we've added it on the column where it says physical education. Out there to the right, it says personal financial responsibility. And the class of 2028, which are your students, this is the first time that any of our students are going to be required to take a personal financial responsibility course to graduate. So that is something that is different for this class than in previous ones. And they just haven't had a chance to update the state hasn't had a chance to update their form yet. So we just typed it on there for you.
Thank you, Ms. Cullum. Thank you so much. I know Ms. Hill's going to jump on here. She's going to start talking about the academic honors and Core 40, kind of what's included with that. So, Ms. Hill, it's all yours if you're on.
Thank you, Brian. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, perfect. So the academic honors designation has specific courses that need to be taken. And as Mrs. Cullum said, they are on that previous slide that you guys have in your packet too as a handout. But we thought it would be nice for you to see the specifics of of what these classes are. One thing that you may have noticed is it says that for an academic honors designation, you need 47 credit hours. Or 47 credits, excuse me. But at Memorial, you actually need 8 additional ones because of our requirement for theology. So we have 8 credits for theology, which will be taken each semester of the high school experience, 8 credits for math, 8 credits for English. And you can see next to the English, it says that your student will be taking English 9 or English 9 honors. So we have 2 options. Backing it up to the theology, the 2 courses that we offer for freshmen are Foundations of Theology and Sacraments. All students will take the Foundations of Theology during first semester and then Sacraments second semester. Moving along to math, we actually have multiple options. We have our everyday math, which is Algebra 1E. And if you have a student who struggles with math, many times this is a good opportunity for them to have the everyday class, which will help them catch up to be ready for geometry their sophomore year. We also have Algebra 1 regular. So if your student is currently in their 8th grade pre-algebra class, the Algebra 1E or the Algebra 1 would be their next step. And when we have our individual counseling meetings, we will talk more specifically to each family about what the right choice is for your student. We also have Algebra 1 honors. So technically, there's really the 3 options. And then if your student is currently in Algebra 1 in 8th grade, then they will move on to geometry honors. However, if your student does not have an A in the class, because these classes do transfer to their transcript, the Algebra 1 class goes on their transcript for high school, then some of them do choose to take the Algebra 1 again whenever they get to high school, because they want to get the A in the class rather than the B, possibly. Again, that's something we would talk to you about during the individual meetings. For science, you need 6 credit hours for graduation requirements. And for freshmen, they will take either Biology 1 or Biology 1 honors. Again, we will talk to you individually about what the best option is for you. For social studies, there's a total of 6 credits necessary for graduation. For freshmen, they will take world history, either their freshman or sophomore year. We'll talk more about that later on in the presentation for what the best option is. For physical education, you need 2 credits. Required for freshman year is PE1, and then PE2 can be taken freshman or sophomore year. There's 1 credit necessary for health. That's going to be taken sophomore year, either first or second semester. And then, as Mrs. Collins stated, a new requirement starting with the class of 2028 is the 1 credit for personal and financial responsibility. Then we also need 8 to 10 more credits. 2 of those will come from fine arts, and then 6 to 8 of them will come from world languages. So it's 6 to 8 because you have the option of taking a language for 3 years, or you can take 2 separate languages for 2 years each. And then all of your credits need to add up to 55. So if you add all those up, that does not equal 55. So there's a lot of room in there for people to take other courses that they're interested in. On the next slide, we're going to see the information for the more specific information that we need for academic honors. So in order to maintain that academic honors designation, you do have to have a 3.0 cumulative GPA. You cannot have a grade that's lower than a C minus, so that would be a 69.5%. You have to complete one of the following, either 2 year-long AP courses, including taking the AP exam, or you can do 6 dual credits. Now, those classes would be 3 credits per semester because they are college classes. So for example, a student that's in US history, their junior year could potentially get 3 credit hours for first semester and 3 for second semester as well. So you could knock that out with just that 1 course, actually. And then you could also do a combination of a year-long AP course with the exam and then also a 3 credit hour class.
Ms. Hill,
Question.
yeah, no, as I'm heading over to the next slide, we had a couple good questions. One was, assuming if our child is going for academic honors diploma, do they need to take all the honors options when offered? Is that correct?
That is actually a really good question. No, for academic honors, you just have to take the required course. It can be regular or honors. So for example, a student can take English 9 regular, English 10 regular, English 11 regular, and English 12 regular if they want to, and still get that academic honors.
Makes sense. That's perfect. I had another one. What about a German option? I know we don't offer that, and I know other schools do. With that said, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the University of Evansville, who we partner with, I think they offer a German option. Does that sound right?
So they do have a German option, but it's really more, equal to like a third year level. So if they don't have a background in German, I would not suggest that. At our school, we offer Spanish, Chinese, and Latin. And so those are going to be the options that we're going to lean to first.
Absolutely. That's perfect. I had another question about driver's ed, but it's actually going to be answered in a future slide. So I'm going to keep moving, but I'm going to come back to that one. So I'm going to leave you with the Core 40 designation.
Okay, so for the Core 40, you're going to see a lot of similarities. We still have the 8 credits for theology, the 8 credits for English, the 6 credits for math now. So the academic honors required 8 credits, but the Core 40 requires 6. That means that you would have to do algebra, geometry, and then algebra 2. For science, it's still 6 credits. Social studies is also still 6 credits. PE, health, business, all of those are still exactly the same. The difference is with the directed electives, they can come from multiple categories. So world, language, fine arts, those still count, but you don't have a specific number of those classes that you have to take. And then also our career and technical SICTIC classes can count in that category as well. So you would need 5 credits total versus the 6 to 8 world language and the 2 fine arts. And then for this category, you would need to add up to a total of 48. Again, the state said 40, so we have 48 because of the 8 additional theology classes.
Great. Ms. Hill, no, that was perfect. I know in futures and coming up slides, we're going to be going over kind of this again. I mean, but really breaking it down again, whether you're Core 40 or honors, these are your options, right? For math, these are your options for English. So I know that's going to be coming up in some future slides.
Yes, in the future slide, we're going to actually talk about how to fill out the form and more specifics about those classes. So we will save that for that part of the presentation.
Absolutely. No, that's perfect. And then I'm about to hand it over to Miss Quinlan. I think I had another question where the handout, what you see on the screen, that was not in the handouts. But we're gonna have tomorrow when we send out the recording, we're gonna have screenshots of all this that you'll be able to come back to. Absolutely. And then when applying for colleges, do they really look at which diploma you received, or is it just your GPA they looked at? I'm sure it's a combination. I don't know if any counselor wants to jump in on that, if they're looking at which diploma or GPA, or maybe a combination of both, I'm sure.
I'll take that question.
Okay.
Sure. Whenever you apply to a college, they do look at which diploma track you earn. Getting a Core 40 will certainly allow you to get into, most 4-year colleges. Academic honors diploma, while it might give you a certain bump in admissions, it's going to be more likely to get you a little bit more scholarship money, typically between $800 and $1,000. So that's where the extra, the bonus comes from, is a little bit more from the scholarship piece than the admissions piece.
That makes sense. Thank you so much, Dorinda. These questions are great, by the way. This is what we're doing this for. And then someone also said, do you offer the AP capstone diploma?
We do. That is not an the state of Indiana diploma. That is a national diploma offered through the College Board, which is the company that does the PSAT, the SAT, and the advanced placement courses and tests. And that involves the students taking 6 AP classes while they're at Memorial. One of them has to be AP Seminar as a sophomore or junior, and then AP Research as a senior. And then the other 4 AP courses they take can be any of the AP courses of their choice. They do have to take the exam for all 6 and receive a score of 3 or higher on those exams in order to achieve that diploma. We do not offer the IB diploma. We have no international baccalaureate classes at Memorial, which was another question in the chat box.
Thank you, Ms. Cullum.
Hi, Mrs. Quinlan here. Let me just add to what Mrs. Cullum has said about the AP capstone. Students that earn the AP capstone, chances are they are going to be an academic honors diploma recipient. And then there's an extra sticker that goes on that diploma that designates the capstone. Just like that academic honors it's the diploma, but there's a certain color sticker that is placed on the diploma. For the technical honors, there is a sticker that is placed on that. So again, the AP capstone is a designation through the College Board, but we indicate that by a sticker on the actual diploma.
Perfect. Ms. Quinlan, stay close. And no, like I said, these are great questions. We really appreciate it. And actually, perfect timing. I'm going to hand off to Ms. Quinlan. She's going to talk about some satisfactory academic progress along with technical honors, a handful of things. So Ms. Quinlan, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. One of the advantages of the Zoom meetings is that we can stay at home on these cold, nasty evenings in front of the fireplace and still get our work done. So thank you for joining us. The satisfactory academic progress, known as SAP, one of the things you have heard so far tonight is we are using the term credits. The classes are credits. The biggest difference, one of the biggest difference between grade school and high school is, as 8th graders, you guys have been together probably since pre-K, kindergarten, whatever. Everybody advances to the next level, next grade level and all that, even though we're not all masters of English, we're not all masters of math or whatever. Everyone progresses on to the next grade level. In high school, you must maintain satisfactory academic progress, which means you have an opportunity to earn 16 credits per year, 8 a semester. 8th graders, you visited with us, you have heard of block scheduling. We run a block 8 schedule, which means you have 4 classes on a blue day, 4 classes on a white day. Some of you, that might be a study hall in there. But each semester you have 8 classes, which means you could be earning 8 credits if you pass those classes. The academic honors diploma has the requirement that you can get no grade lower than a C minus. We hope that is the case for every one of our students. If a student falls short, struggles in a class, they're not matched up right, or whatever that case may be, your counselor is here for you. I am here for you. Again, there are so many people that are here for you. If you earn an F, okay, that doesn't stand for fantastic anymore. If you earn an F, that means you have not earned the credit for that class and you have to retake it. And I emphasize that because, again, maybe you're not a master of math, but you still went on to the next grade level. If you are not a master of algebra and you do not earn that credit, you will retake algebra. Just as with English, if we do not earn our 9th grade English credit our sophomore year, you will be taking 2 English classes to earn the 9th grade credit, earn the 10th grade credit. Each course is worth the 1 credit except for the study block. So in that case, instead of 8 classes a semester, maybe you have 7 and a study hall. So there you would have a possibility of earning 14 credits a year. To achieve the academic progress, you must earn a minimum of 12 credits per year. That means 5 classes in the fall, 5 classes in the spring. And if you are only earning 5 credits, that means you have failed a couple of classes. So then we would require you to take a summer class on your own at your expense to earn those credits back so that you remain with the class. Oh my gosh, is this 2028? Did I hear? Yeah, to remain with the class of 2028 and be satisfactory, making satisfactory academic progress. We have a lot of safety nets. It's very hard, in my opinion, to fall through the cracks at Memorial because you have 8 teachers watching you, you have a counselor watching you, you have an assistant principal, dean of students, everybody. It takes a village, and we're all here for each individual student. If a student is not making academic progress, we have what is called Tiger Flex time, which is after school, in which we require the students to meet with teachers, make up some of that missed work and everything, so that we do everything we can to earn those credits. And that's also responsibility on the students to let us know. Talk to your counselor, talk to your teacher if you are struggling. We want to get on it early and not wait to the end and find out that we fall short. And again, satisfactory academic progress is something that we are continually striving for, keeping watch on. Again, this is just kind of a recap. The general diploma, you need 48 credits to graduate. If you've picked up on this, the core 40, Indiana says that there are 40 core credits. We'll talk about core classes, your English, math, science, social studies. Those are core. Doesn't matter what school you go to, it's Indiana, you have to pass those classes and earn those credits. The general diploma is the 40 plus our 8 theology credits. Again, as Mrs. Cullum said, you're still going to be able to get to college. You may just have a different route, a different path to take to get there. Technical honors, again, we don't want to give you too much information tonight. Some of you, we may have overloaded already. Technical honors is specific to junior, senior year. And I will asterisk this and tell you that we are constantly working on other opportunities to do more at Memorial. Right now, what we have is this Southern Indiana career, South, yeah, SICTIC.
Southern Indiana Career and Technical Center.
There you go. The C was throwing me off. Thank you, Dorinda. Junior, senior year, if you have an interest in one of the trades, you have a family that works with cars or has a construction business, a family or whatever, you want to own a heating and air conditioning. People you want to get into cooking, if you're into the food channel and you want to get into the culinary arts, the medical field, the health sciences, veterinary, all of that kinds of stuff. There are opportunities through SICTIC, but it is for your junior and senior year. Keep that in mind, because to get to that point, you have to be able to fit it into your schedule. If you have not earned all your credits and you have to retake a class, there's not going to be room in your schedule. It's a 2-year program. You spend half the day at Memorial, half the day at Career Tech. When you're at Memorial, you're there for your theology, you're there for your English, you're going to pick up a math or a science, and you're going to be there for your U.S. history your junior year. Senior year, you're going to be at Memorial for your theology, your English, the opposite of the math or science, and you're going to be there for econ and government. Those are the core classes that you have to take. So junior year, if you're having to repeat sophomore English and junior English, that's going to put you at 5, and there's only room for 4. So earn those credits, pass those classes. SICTIC, it's the hands-on training along with book work. Okay. You learn to build houses and put cars together. There's books with that. So the main thing, it's the hands-on training. There are many advantages to it. This is something that you will talk with your counselor individually, because as well as those advantages, there are some disadvantages, and just flat out, you're only at Memorial a half a day, and that can, close some opportunities for you. we're getting ready to go through the course selection process for you. This is all information that is available to you. The course description guide, you can go to our website. That has been updated. It will give you the name of the course. It will give you a description of the course, so that, you know, you can find out what 2D art involves. You can find out the difference between an English 11 honors and AP language or AP literature. You can look at those. We are using the PSAT scores. If you are joining us and you are not from one of our partner schools, you may or may not have taken a PSAT, and that is okay. It is just one of the tools that we use to help guide us in class placement. Along with the PSAT scores, we're getting your grades from your teachers. We are talking to your teachers and getting their recommendation. In your folder, there's a 4-year plan that we are going to help you to fill out, and to meet the requirements for graduation. I will tell you that in our opinion, all of you have a 4.0 right now. You're all going to be academic honors students when you come in August. The classes are going to place themselves. You can be academic honors if the main thing is you don't get a grade lower than a C-. You maintain that GPA to a 3.0 all the way up to graduation. It might fall short of that your sophomore year. That doesn't mean you've lost it. You work hard, you can still get your GPA up to at least a 3.0. So everybody is going to come in as an academic honors student. Classes will place themselves. When you look at the number of AP classes, the dual credits, our U.S. History junior year is free through USI. Everyone goes through dual credit. There's nothing that the teacher does different. You just have to make sure you get the grade, the C- or whatever, and bam, there's your dual credit for it. So the requirements are there. The onus is on you as a student to do your best, always.
Ms. Quinlan, as I put up a sample of what that PSAT score
Yes.
results look like, I did have a couple questions. A couple people were asking how they receive their students' PSAT scores. So again, if you were from a Eastside partner school that we did the PSAT with, that should be in the folder packet that was sent home yesterday with the kids.
Yes, they should have it with them right now. That is in there. You can go to, this is a sample of it that's up on the screen, but on your score report, collegeboard.com, you can get on their website. It will walk you through everything. This report that we use, you can see where we added recommendations. If your student is falling in the 80th percentile or above, then that demonstrates to us that a student has the self-discipline, a student has the work ethic, the student has the motivation and could handle an English 9 honors class or a Biology 1 honors class as opposed to English 9 or biology. And you could just be, maybe your science is your thing and you can do Biology 1 honors and maybe you're in algebra. That doesn't matter, okay? What matters is in the end. So again, the 80 percentile or above, we would say you have indicated, your scores indicate that you can handle an honors class. If you're 60 to 80%, that's going to be a family decision. That's going to be a parent input. Parents, how much homework are you doing at night with your student? How much are you having to remind them, to ask them, what do you have to do today? Did you do this? Is your student, maybe their grades are dropping because they're not doing homework, they're forgetting to turn in things. If you're having to take your student back to school because they forgot a textbook or something, that might be the measuring stick that you use. That, okay, let's do our regular. And guys, just because you're English 9 regular or biology regular that doesn't mean sophomore, junior year, you can't jump up to an honors level. Okay. If you're at 60% or below, then we're recommending that you do the regular class. And to be honest with you, the biggest where this comes into play the most is with our math classes. Are you going to take algebra? Are you in algebra 1 now? Are you going to retake it? Are you going to go right into honors geometry? Those are the discussions that we need to have with a fewer percentage of the students. This will be only our second year that we've had biology honors. And 8th graders, let me just say to you, the biggest difference, or I guess the biggest difference I see between where you are at school now and high school is the amount of reading. Okay. Your schools are preparing you for Memorial. Memorial is going to prepare you for your college, your career, whatever that may be, but just the amount of reading. High school, they're going to assign a chapter and they're going to expect that you have read that chapter.
Ms. Quinlan,
Yes.
quick things. I know a couple families on here are not from some of the diocesan Eastside partner
Yes.
schools. So if they didn't, take the PSAT, we kind of covered like, hey, obviously it's not mandatory, it's not required, but what are some other tools? And that was kind of like that slide before, right? We want to go
Right.
off to recommendations. We want to go
Yeah.
off middle
And-
school grade.
Yeah, and I want to go ahead and say, personally, I think those that are not from within our partner school, obviously we know what our schools are doing. Many of us have come through those schools. There will be more individualized attention, especially if we don't have a PSAT score. There's going to be more communication with the parent, asking for the teacher's recommendation. That's part of the application that everybody filled out, hopefully by January 1st, that we get those grades. We see, we have an academic record of test scores. I don't know if it was still called iStep or now it's going to be all the iLearn that we look at, and class grades and so forth. And so that's what we would base that placement on.
That's good. Yeah. And one other thing, you kind of talked about like the levels of, the amount of work, right? The levels of reading, maybe more reading. Someone had a good question, what is that difference? What does that difference kind of look like in regular classes versus honors classwork?
What I would say, and this is an example I always use between biology 1 and honors biology. In the science books, there's always the end of the chapter. You've got vocabulary, you've got true, false questions, multiple choice, short answer. At the regular level, the teachers may assign that work to you, that you have to write out the vocabulary, memorize your vocabulary, and so forth. At the honors level, they're going to assume as an honors level student that you're going to do that kind of work on your own. You're going to know that you need to memorize those bold words within the readings. You're going to know that even though the teacher might not say, make sure you read pages 18 to 25, a student is going to do that. And I guess in curriculum wise, they're going to cover the same material. Honors, they're going to dig much, much deeper. They're going to move faster. What might take a week and a half for a teacher to cover a chapter, it might be done in 1 or 2 days in an honors level class. Because keep in mind, with the block scheduling, classes are 90 minutes. And what we're doing in a 90-minute block, these kids are coming from classes that were 40, 45 minutes. So we're putting almost 2.5 days of work into one class period. And I don't know if Mrs. Hill and Mrs. Mrs. Cullum have any other insight on that, but that's the best way I can describe it, that they're just going to go more in depth. It's going to move faster. And again, there's going to be more reading to that.
That's good. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm gonna pass it back on to Miss Hill. I think she's gonna start getting into how we're actually gonna do this, how we're gonna sign up for classes, what those options are, kind of going back from those first couple slides and kind of breaking it down and what those look like. So Miss Hill, I'm gonna pass it back off to you.
Thanks, Brian. So in your packet, you have this pink form. And on this form, we have all of the classes listed that freshmen will take.
Oh, his backpack's in his room.
So the next few slides are going to go into more depth, but when you're looking at this form, and some of you may even want to kind of follow along with it and maybe even start making some notes or putting some check marks on classes that you think may be great for your student. But what we like to do is for each course that the student signs up for, we put a check mark for each semester that they're taking it. So for example, under language arts, which is one of our required classes, you would have 2 check marks under either English 9 or English 9 honors. And the reason we do 2 is because it's a year-long class. And once we have this form filled out, you should have a total of 16 check marks. So if you could go ahead and go to the next slide, we're going to be talking about each of these categories so that you have a better understanding of what those classes are.
And Miss Hill, just
Yes.
FYI too for everyone, everyone on the call and everyone of our contacts, I'm going to be emailing this digital copy too of that form we just saw, that pink form. So yes, you probably got it in your folder if you're from a Diocesan Eastside Partner School and we deliver those folders, but also I'm just going to be, I'll send another digital copy tomorrow morning with this video. So I just want to add that in there.
That'll be great for the families to be able to look at that so that if they need to write anything down before they come in, that'll be nice. Now, I did talk about these classes in an earlier slide when I was saying, you need 8 theology credits in order to graduate. So 2 of those will be taking your freshman year, Foundations of Theology and Sacraments, and you can see the semesters. So if you're marking on that pink form, you would put 1 check mark next to each of those classes because they're each a semester-long class. For English, we've already said this multiple times, there's English 9 and English 9 honors. And if you are uncertain of which level your student should be at, we are more than happy to talk to you about that during the meeting. As we said, the PSAT is one indicator, but there's lots of other things, teacher recommendations, how your student is doing in the class with the report card. So we'll talk more about that later. I already mentioned all the math classes, Algebra 1E, Algebra 1 Regular, or Algebra 1 Honors for all those students who are currently in pre-algebra. And then potentially Geometry Honors if your student took Algebra 1 this year and got the grade that he or she wanted to get. So, and again, they can repeat algebra again when they come to high school with no penalties to try to raise that grade if they did not get the grade that they were hoping for. Continuing on to the next slide, the remaining required courses for freshman year include Biology 1 or Biology 1 Honors. And again, we'll talk about which one is best for you if you're uncertain. So next to Biology, you would put the 2 check marks since it's a year-long class. PE, you all have to put a check mark next to PE 1 because it does need to be taken. Some people want to know if you can choose the semester for that. We will enter all of this information into PowerSchool and it will determine which semester your student has that class. Unless they're taking PE2, and if they're taking PE2, then obviously they would have PE1 first semester and PE2 second semester. There are not tons of electives that students will take their freshman year just because of all the requirements for this first year, but there will be a few open slots. And so if your student wants to get PE out of the way, PE2 is a great option. Social studies, most students who are not taking band or choir as an elective or AP Human Geography, another class in our social studies department that Mrs. Cullum will be talking about momentarily, then they will take world history their freshman year. So many students take world history freshman year unless they're taking AP Human Geography or they're taking band or choir. And even if they're taking those, there could still be room for world history, but just to kind of let you know, that's where we are with social studies. I did see another question about driver's ed, and we will talk about that. It's in the elective category. I didn't see the exact question, but know that that's coming up. I believe the next slide is going to be the elective courses, and Mrs. Cullum will talk about these.
Yes, so everything that Mrs. Hill just went over are the courses that are required for all of our students, on whether they're on Core 40 or the Academic Honor Diploma. What I'm going to talk about are the more elective courses that round out the rest of the credits that the kids have to have in order to graduate. The first one we'll talk about is world language electives. If your student is on the Academic Honor track, then a world language is required. We offer Chinese 1, Latin 1, and Spanish 1. And your student can take one of those languages for 3 years, or they can split and take one language for 2 years and a second language for 2 years, which means they would be taking a language all 4 years that they're in high school. It's not foreign language is not required on the Core 40 diploma track, but we do recommend that all of our students take at least 2 years of a foreign language because there are so many colleges and universities that recommend, if not require it, for admissions. So we don't want to close any doors this early on. Our social studies electives are current events, which is a semester-long class, or AP Human Geography with recommendation, and that is a year-long class. And then on the next slide, we have the electives from our business department. We have preparation for college and career. Half of this course is a study block. The first 45 minutes is a study block. The second 45 minutes is the class for the prep. We call it Prep CC. And they're literally just talking about all the different options for college and careers, and doing career interest surveys and all that kind of thing. There's also Intro to Business, which touches on all the other business classes we have. There's Intro to Entrepreneurship, which is about owning your own business. Digital Applications and Responsibility, which teaches the students about the Microsoft suite, like Excel, PowerPoint, Word, and the Google suite, the Sheets, docs, and slides. And then there's the Intro to Computer Science class, which is more about coding.
Ms.
You
Cole,
want to see the next slide?
I'm going to stay on. I was coming back to a question about personal finance because I was going to wait for the business slide here. Someone earlier had a question that when did personal financial responsibility requirement implement? And I think that was just this year, but I'll let you explain that. And what classes can be taken to meet it. They were wondering about their current junior student status and if it was required for them.
No, they just passed that in the last few months, and the requirement starts for the class of 2028. So if you have a current student in high school, it does not pertain to them. They're still welcome to take the course. It's only one specific course that they have to take, and that's personal financial responsibility. And a lot of our students take it anyway, just because they find it to be an interesting elective, but it's not required for any of our current high school students.
Perfect. Also, for Spanish, just thinking back to the slide before when we were talking about world language, for Spanish or anything like that, could you do a study abroad program to cover that credit?
We have some students come in from non-partner schools, or sometimes they already speak a certain level of Spanish, and they come in and they start in Spanish 2, and they'll do Spanish 3, Spanish 4. We have courses at U of E that they can continue on with. We did have 2 students who did a study abroad this past summer through the IU Hoosier program, where they spent time in Spain for about 6 weeks this summer, and they received credit for that. We have several students going down to U of E to go do the upper levels of Spanish beyond what we offer at Memorial. Some of them are heritage speakers, which means their families speak the language, and they're just trying to improve their skills above and beyond what we can offer them.
And Ms. Cullum, I think I misunderstood the question. Are they eligible to do the IUHPFL program?
I don't know the acronym, but I believe that's the IU Hoosier program that we had a couple of students do this summer.
It is the same program.
Yeah, I should say Mrs. Hill dealt with that since she is a former Spanish teacher.
So that program, well, there's a number of programs that they run, but we do allow students to do that if they want to, and it does count for credit. For the majority of them, that would be above their first 3 years. And then I saw there was another question about students who already know the language. Are they allowed to take it for better reading and writing skills? Absolutely. Sometimes we do go ahead and place them at a little bit of a higher level, just because Spanish 1 is a lot of basic Spanish. And then sometimes they'll continue on with some courses at UE. Last semester, we had a conversation course, which was very good for a number of students. They really enjoyed it. Some of those were first language Spanish speakers, and others of them were students who had studied Spanish extensively, including one who had gone on that IU program over the summer. So there's a lot of options, and we obviously will, for language, we will pick the best option for your student and place them in the appropriate class once we can figure out what that is.
Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to you, Ms. Cullen.
Okay, to continue on with our elective options, we have fine arts options as well. There are visual fine arts, which are, you start with the intro to 2D art, and that is a prerequisite for the following two, which are advanced 2D art and the intro to 3D art. We have the musical arts, which is band, choir, and piano. There is a music history and appreciation course. There's 2 different levels of that. And then there are the performing arts, the theater arts courses. All of those fulfill the 2 required fine arts credits for the academic honor diploma, and they also meet the directed electives for the Core 40 diploma. And then we're getting ready to answer the driver's education question. We are the only school in the area that still offers driver's ed at our school. If you're an Indiana resident, you must be 15 years of age prior to the start of the semester and have passed the permit test, passed the test and received your permit. And the reason we request that be done before the class starts is because it can be a time-consuming process, especially if you don't know where all of your students' documents are. And we just want to make sure that we get students in there that are prepared with all their documentation and ready to go. If you are a Kentucky resident, your student must be 16 years old before they're allowed to go through driver's ed. So that is one small difference. We also offer a study block, which is a study hall. We encourage students to sign up for this if they think they want it. A lot of our students do take a study block. If they are multiple sport athletes, even our upper level students, who are taking a lot of difficult courses, really utilize their study blocks to get their work done before they leave school and have to go to practices and work. At this point, I'm going to draw in Mrs. Wedding, who is our new resource teacher this year, and let her talk about the resource block. Are you with us, Mrs. Wedding?
Hi, I'm Erin Wedding. I'm a resource teacher here at Memorial. So if your child currently receives accommodations at their school, and it could be through a 504, an IEP, an ISP, or even if they're continuing to take the WIDA test, then we can talk about adding a resource block to their schedule. And so the resource block just kind of takes the place of a study hall, but they have more support in there. We help them, or we require them to do periodic grade checks. We help them work through their Google Classroom, check due dates on assignments. We also show them how to use EventLink, and in some cases, we help with organizing because sometimes those binders can be insanity. So if your child falls under that category, we can talk about adding that to their schedule. The resource block can be every other day, or in some cases, we offer it every single day. So if you feel like that's something that would benefit your child, we can definitely talk on registration night and see if we can add that to their schedule.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Ms. Wedding. Thank you. Ms. Hill, I'm about to pass it back to you. Before I do that, because we're going to look at that course selection form one more time. Speaking of the course selection form, a couple things on there. Going back to the driver's ed, someone had a question earlier. Can that count towards a physical education credit, a PE credit.
Yes, I actually just was scrolling through and seeing if we missed any questions, and I saw that one. It does not count as a PE credit. No matter what, all students must take PE1 and PE2 at our school. If you've talked to other schools, there are some that do offer other options rather than taking a PE course. We do not offer that. We do have every person take that at school. I also saw another question about driver's ed in the summer. Currently, that is not a course that we're offering in the summer. If you would want to take it in the summer, there are other institutions that offer it as a summer option, but currently Memorial is not doing that. Now we have expanded our summer courses, or we actually have started offering some, and so maybe in the future, but right now driver's ed is not. And then also I saw the question about, are students enrolled within the honor diploma able to take the study block and still achieve the required number of credits? Yes, they are allowed to take, they would be able to take a study block. I think every semester. I feel pretty certain that it's every semester and still achieve that, especially if they, do have any other courses that they've taken before coming, like if they've had the algebra, that's a possibility. There's some people that take the summer courses, whether that be a study abroad away from the school, or whether that be like right now we're offering government as a summer option. Some people have done the Health Science Institute to get credit. So there's other options that way too, but yes, there should be room for a study block each semester, even with the honors diploma.
Thank
And
you
then
so
do you have a list of the summer courses currently? We just have government within our building, but again, I mentioned a number of other options that people have done, like the Health Science Institute and study abroad. And I believe we do have it in the works to consider expanding our summer list. We just have not gotten there at this point.
Thank you,
So
Ms.
this sheet that you're looking at now with all the courses, you would have the 2 check marks under the language arts, 2 check marks under the mathematics, a check mark for each of the theology courses. Resource, if you have an accommodation plan. Science, you would need 2 check marks for one of those 2 courses.
Okay, that's what we did.
Social studies, you would need, most people would probably do the 2 check marks next to world history, or if you're opting to do the AP Human. Again, that is not required freshman year, but most people do take something from that department that year. PE1, you would have 1 check mark next to it. And then again, if you opt to do PE2 as another option, or as another elective, you can do that. It's not really an elective, it's required, but you can take it your freshman or sophomore year. Fine arts, those are electives that you can opt to take. World language, if you're going for academic honors, you'll probably want to go ahead and choose one of those. For people that are coming from non-partner schools, if you do have a Spanish 1 program, you could opt to go ahead and go into Spanish 2. We can talk about that during individual meetings. Business, those are all semester classes, so they would all be 1 check mark. And then if you want the study block, 1 or both semesters, you can select those as well. Just remember they don't count as credits, but you do have room for them in your schedule.
I'm going to move on to the 4-year plan as it's transitioning at another good one. How long are those summer courses and where are they offered? Weeks and length during the days usually?
So the summer class that we're offering right now, the government class is offered typically the first 4 weeks of June. I think it's a Monday through Thursday offering, and I believe it goes for about 4 hours a day, and like from 8 to noon. Again, that's not a list anywhere currently at this point. That's just what we're offering, and that would not be for freshmen. That's going to be something that we would be offering to our incoming juniors and seniors. And then the other things that I talked about, the study abroad, which is not through Memorial, that's people have opted to look for that on their own, or the Health Science Institute through Deaconess. Those are things that come out in our parent newsletters, and those are also offered for upperclassmen. We want you to be aware of what's coming your way potentially in the future, but right now there's no summer options for incoming freshmen.
Thank you.
And then
Sorry, Jamie, I was just going to also say, and then traditionally those summer courses have been offered at Memorial. However, this summer, if you're unaware, we're going to be updating our air conditioning system. And so there's going to be some significant construction taking place at the school. And so those students will actually be off campus, but we've talked with our partner schools and they're willing to host them. So we'll find different locations throughout the summer so that they are able to do that. But again, that's going to be for the upperclassmen, not for the freshmen. But I imagine some of you are parents of students that are going to take that. So tell them not to worry. We're still planning to offer it.
thank you, Mr. Schmidt, for that update. So before you right now, you see our 4-year plan. This is just a helpful guidance for you at this point to kind of, if you'd like to go ahead and plan what you think your student may want to take throughout their 4 years. It's a great place to do that. We actually will have them start filling this out and keeping it on file. It's required by the state of Indiana to keep this form on file. But for right now, we just want you to have it for your benefit to start thinking ahead. So if you want to go ahead and fill out that highlighted area before you come and see us, we can talk through that with you, and then you can keep that as a reference point for years to come.
Thank you so much. We're almost to the end here. I am going to pass it real quick back to Ms. Colum. She wanted to cover some athletic stuff along with some schedule change policies too, that are just good, important information before we wrap it up here and give you some closing comments and closing questions along with some closing direction here. So Ms. Colum.
Hi again. If you are the parent of a student athlete who thinks that they want to play their sport in college, this is important information for you. As soon as possible, as early as possible, you can get on their website, which is theeligibilitycenter.org, and make an account for your student. If you currently have no idea what level they want to play at, you can sign them up for the free profile account. We cannot see that account, so we do not know that they have signed up for that. If you are absolutely certain your student is going to play Division 1 or 2, then they can sign up for the certified account, which costs, I believe it's $100 this year to sign up for that account. And at that point, they hit our list of student athletes, and we keep track of their core classes and the grades they achieve in those classes so that we know what their core GPA is. So it's important that whichever account your student signs up for, that they let us know that they are signing up for something so that we know to keep track of their information. Because as I said, if they sign up for the free profile account, we can't see that and won't know that they have signed up for anything. The reason it's important for them to sign up as early as possible is so that we can help them sign up for classes that meet the required the criteria that NCAA has set down, because not all classes count toward the core GPA. It's just, it's math, science, English, social studies, and then foreign language, and then a few other individual classes, but fine arts, theology classes, any athletic class, PE classes, health, none of those count. So we want to make sure that we are steering them on the correct path as early as possible. And then we do have a schedule change policy, which should also be in your folder. We encourage students to do their due diligence, read the class descriptions, and once they're in the building and they are wanting to sign up for a class, but that they don't really know much about, they can talk to the teachers that teach the class. Just find out what's going on in the course, because we are really discouraging schedule changes after the master schedule is in place, because we set the master schedule based on what the students select on their initial form. And once we start making changes to that, it causes a lot of issues. So we really try not to do that. But if you ever have any questions about anything, you could always reach out to your counselor. We are more than happy to talk to you or answer your questions through email, either one. Your student can advocate for themselves and come in and talk to us. We really enjoy having conversations with them as well. So please just keep us in mind.
Thank you, Ms. Cullum. Before I head to like kind of just how we're going to end this and what those next steps are, I did have another question. Someone asked just to double check what AP classes are offered. I know we had a lot of honors classes listed out for freshmen, but what AP classes were available for freshmen?
Oh, for freshmen, there's AP Human Geography.
Mhm.
And really, that's about the only one for freshmen. As a sophomore, they can take AP World History, AP Seminar, AP Music Theory. And then as they progress to junior and senior year, there's a lot of others because there's AP Chemistry, Biology, AP Physics, AP Calculus. I mean, there's a lot. There's AP English classes, and it's pretty much almost every department has an AP option.
Absolutely.
AP macroeconomics. There's a handful. They are listed in our course descriptions if you want more details about those AP courses.
Yeah, and that can be located at reitzmemorial.org/academics. There'll be a list of course descriptions there, along with the list of AP and even dual credit classes. Dual credit classes you can take to earn college credit. Absolutely.
Mr.
Very
Heathcott?
good. Yeah.
I'm back on. I just want to put my last 2 cents worth in, maybe, for the 8th graders to hear me out, and parents, you're there so that you hear this. Guys and gals, you are the class of 2028. You are going to be classmates. When you are getting to the point where you're going to be selecting classes, do not base your selections on your friends. Okay, you are coming from much smaller schools. When you get to Memorial, we are combining all of the schools. I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're up to, I don't know, Mr. Heathcott, how many are we looking at? 100 and
As of yesterday, we have about 175 kids and growing still, and there's a lot more still to come. So it's a nice big class, and
Yeah.
looking forward to a good group of
Yeah.
students too.
So again, guys, you're earning credits. You are working for your future, not your friend's future. You're not going to go on and all of that kinds of stuff. And I don't want to get too repetitive here, but don't base your choices on what your older brothers and sisters might say, what your friends might have heard, what your parents might know from when they were at Memorial. It's based on you. Okay. If you ask me if honors biology is hard, I'm going to tell you no. Because I'm a science person, if you ask me if algebra is hard, I'm going to tell you I don't like it. And that's not true, because that's just what is for me. Keep in mind, you all have gone to the same language arts class together. You all went to PE together. You all went to health together. There is a section of English every block. There is a section of algebra, a section of theology, almost every block. So even though you and your buddy sign up for a class together, there's no guarantee you're going to be in the same block together. Okay? So you're classmates for life. That doesn't mean you have to be in the same room and everything. So make your choices based on your interests, your strengths, your potential, so that you get the most out of Memorial.
Great advice. Thank you, Miss Quinlan. I couldn't agree more. And and how we're going to do this, I'm going to put up this next slide about what's next, how we're going to do this in-person registration. So I got a handful of very critical details I just want to cover real quick. So there's going to be different steps with this. Step 1 is review this information. So if you're on this tonight, you've checked that off. If you want to go back and review some of the things we were talking about, please do. Please feel free. Again, this video is going to be available for everyone to go back to review a little bit, to go over some of that information, to check back with that. So definitely understand how we're going to work this, and any questions you might have from this presentation. Some of the preparing and completing of enrollment forms. If you haven't yet completed an application for admissions, definitely get online and do that. That can be done at reitzmemorial.org/apply. Again, I asked you to do that before these course registration because that could aid some discussion with course placement based on, information we're gathering then, whether, again, you have accommodations or whether you, or again, just to review where you're at with the courses you're taking or how you're doing from your report card. Just again, it would help us a little bit as we're meeting with you. And then, along with those enrollment forms or completing forms and preparing that grade 9 course selection sheet, that pink sheet we talked about and you saw. And again, I'll send those out via email in the morning again with the Zoom meeting information here. But, having that kind of worked out already, having the questions you have ready for that sheet, or again, working that out and being ready to go. Because what's going to happen then is that we're going to ask that everyone attends a course registration meeting. We got it all laid out here. So, as far as where we're going to be for each school for those students, okay, for those students at those school. I will say, sometimes are bigger, sometimes are smaller, just depends on the class size, right? So, but we will be there. What'll happen is you'll go to that event there. For example, let's just take that same event. It's from 6 to 7:30. Myself, Miss Hill, Miss Colum, Miss Quinlan, usually Mr. Schmidt will stop by and help out. It's all hands on deck. We want to make sure everyone's there to be able to meet with someone to turn in that course registration sheet, that pink sheet. So you're going to bring that with you, turn that in, have that opportunity, ask questions one-on-one. So once you show up, we're gonna hand you off to an individual, one of those individuals within our academic departments. So you can meet with them one-on-one, individual meeting right then and there, just to see if you have any questions, to help you, with some of the questions you might be having with filling that form out and just making sure, like I said, we can enter you in and register you for classes right then and there. So we're going to be walking through that with you. I will say, do your best. I know we're all busy, and that's why we do these Zoom meetings, right? It's because we all are busy, and I know we all can't be on here at once, but we try to make those times big, right? 6 to 7:30. Some of those times are 5:30 to 8 o'clock, 2.5 hours. We're going to be there. If everybody shows up when it starts, you're going to be waiting for a while. Okay. So do your best with your schedule at home, with what you have, to kind of, if you can show up later, great. Once you actually meet with someone, it might take anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. Just depends on how many questions you have. But we do want to meet with each of you. But like I said, do your best to spread out that time of when you show up, because you will all wait at once if everyone shows up at once. But we'll do our best to get to whoever's available and get you guys squared away, okay? So those nights, again, are coming up. We want to make sure everyone has an opportunity. There'll be a makeup night. It looks like on the February 1st from 5 to 7 here at Memorial as well. So if you can't make it to one of those, again, not a big deal. We're going to have a makeup session. We will work with you guys. Communication is key. We want to make sure, like I said, if something comes up, if we can help out in any way, even prior to this or during this, that we're all in this moving forward together here. So that's going to be my first cue to that. We're wrapping up. So if you have questions, please feel free to use that chat log, ask any remaining questions. But again, as a lot of information, with that said, we want to make sure this is recorded. You can go back on this information. We gave you our context at the beginning of this to make sure you know who to reach out to and whatnot. So someone had a great question, actually. I haven't received a letter saying my child has been accepted to Remote Memorial. That's actually coming, surprise, surprise, during Catholic Schools Week. And that's the last week of January is when we do that. So we'll start sending some emails out saying, hey, not too late to finish up your application. We got great news coming to you and your kids and your family coming Catholic Schools Week, a great week to celebrate great news of Catholic schools. So I always say, if you don't hear from me, that's good. That means I have everything I need from you and everything. But if any of you are on the call and you've seen an email from me saying, hey, I'm still waiting on immunization records or a copy of your report card, I've sent those before. But again, if you haven't heard from me, that's good news. Okay. So we'll keep going from there. Someone had another great question. Should the student be at the meeting? Ideally, yes, absolutely. We would love to have the student and the parent there. Again, we understand schedules and everything. They might have practice and things just might not work out. In a perfect world, sure, we'd love to have the student and the parent there, if at all possible. If that's not doable, the parent with the filled out sheet and the student input before you show up would be perfectly fine too. Absolutely. I'm going to put in a few feelers for our next Zoom meeting. Our next Zoom meeting is going to be on Wednesday, February 7th at 7 o'clock. You're going to get the same opportunity to ask questions, same opportunity to get that invitation a couple days before and get that invitation that night to where we're going to have some of our business department available to talk about financial aid, to talk about how to apply what's available out there for tuition assistance and financial aid, and how do you qualify, just all the nuts and bolts of that process. And so, because I know that is a process and we want to be there to help and with all of that. So just again, want to put that out there. Wednesday, February 7th is our next Zoom meeting at 7 o'clock. You'll get some more information as we lead up to that. That schedule from the previous slide, that course registration schedule, along with those steps I talked about to review the information, to complete the enrollment forms, all that. Again, I'm going to send that all out tomorrow. So, I'm going to leave it another couple seconds here. But again, I really want to appreciate it. I really appreciate everybody being on here tonight. A lot of information, but again, we're here to help. We're really excited. Class of 2028, as we said earlier, it's a good sized class and it's a lot of good kids, from shadow days to the 8th grade visits to the open houses, getting to meet a lot of you people and students and parents. I mean, it's going to be a really good class, and we're really excited. It's a very, very unique class coming from a little bit of everywhere with a lot of different backgrounds, and they're bringing a lot to the table. So we're excited for the students, we're excited for the family, and we're excited for Memorial to bring this in. So again, thank you for your time. I'm not seeing any other questions, so your time is valuable, and I want to let you go. So you have a great night. Thank you all. Holler if you need anything. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. Thank you.